Welcome back to another episode of Quick Picks with the Geek. I am your host, Bro Power the Geek. All right, kicking off the night, we got Juliana Killer Miller taking on Ivana Petrovic in what can only be described as a battle of chaos versus control. One fighter's running on pure aggression and vibes, the other's trying to impose some old-school top control and turn this into a no-refunds kind of night. Two women enter, and one will leave slightly less confused about what direction her career is heading. Let's break it down. Juliana Killer Miller comes in a plus 185 underdog with a record of 3-3. First off, let's appreciate Juliana Miller. Win, lose, or get tossed into another dimension, she's coming forward. She fights like a woman who's late to her own surprise party. Aggressive, check cardio, check technique. Well, aggression is a kind of technique, right? She's got a decent chin, although she did get finished last fight, but overall she's still willing to walk through fire just to throw a wild haymaker. It's not pretty, but it's effective. If you're fighting in a bar at 2 a.m. now, on the grappling side, Juliana's competed in a ton of grappling matches, and when she's in a scramble, she's like a cat that just realized it's in the bathtub. Wild, unpredictable, and occasionally impressive. The problem? Since winning the Ultimate Fighter, she's basically been allergic to hitting takedowns. 0 for 5 on takedowns across 2 fights. It's like she shows up at the grappling buffet and forgets how to use a plate. Oh, and she got taken down 4 times by Veronica Hardy, who didn't exactly look like Khabib out there. If Miller can't fix that, it's going to be a rough night full of elbows from the bottom. Ivana Petrovic comes in a minus 220 favorite with a record of 7-2. Now Ivana Petrovic, she's not flawless either. Her striking, better than Miller's, is the nicest thing you can say. And that's like winning a spelling bee because the other kid spelled cat with a K. But at least Ivana fights composed. She's a little awkward on the feet, but she throws smarter strikes, manages her distance better, and doesn't just barrel forward like she's late for an Uber. Her real strength, grappling, good takedowns. Solid top pressure, ground and pound, that actually hurts. When Ivana wants the fight on the ground, she usually gets it there. And when she's on top, she's a weighted blanket with bad intentions. If you're scrambling underneath her hoping to reverse, congratulations, you're now part of the mat. Worth mentioning, she lost a split decision to Jamie Lynn Horth, but it was a tight fight that really could have gone either way. No robbery, just a messy matchup. So who wins? This fight is aggressive chaos versus composed grappling. Miller might scramble to a good position if things go sideways, but it's a lot to bank on when her only consistent weapon right now is cardio and forward movement. Ivana can get takedowns, hold top control, land ground and pound, and keep Miller from doing her Tasmanian Devil routine for 3 rounds. If Miller had power to go with her wildness, maybe we could talk upset, but she's more punches and bunches without the scary part, and Petrovic has enough composure to handle it. Official pick, Ivana Petrovic. Give me Ivana to get the takedowns, stay out of the scramble traps, and control Miller for either a clear decision or late ground and pound stoppage. Miller will have her moments, she always does, but moments don't win rounds when the other girl's stapling you to the floor. Petrovic by decision, or by, please stop hitting me, I'm trying to find my hooks. 3rd round TKO. Alright, next up we got Don'tale Lord Kong Mays taking on Thomas the Train Peterson in a heavyweight scrap that sounds like a monster movie crossover nobody asked for. You got a giant kickboxer who may or may not wrestle with gravity itself, facing off against a wrestler who might have learned striking from a VHS tape labeled, "It's probably fine." Both guys have clear paths to victory, but neither path has been paved recently. Let's break it down. Don'tale Lord Kong Mays comes in a plus 190 underdog with a record of 11-8. Don'tale Mays is a big dude with a kickboxing base and just enough power to make you pretend you're checking your mouth guard every time he swings. He's not exactly a heavyweight sniper, but he's also not the guy you want to play Rock'em Sock'em Robots with. He's got 3 submissions on his record, but don't be fooled. 2 were submissions due to strikes early in his career, translation, the ref just felt bad, and the 3rd was a verbal tap in 2018, which feels about as official as quitting during a Monopoly game. In reality, Mays is not a submission threat. If he taps you, it's because he punched you until you remembered you left the oven on at home. The real problem? His takedown defense is rough, like built on a swamp rough. Shamil Gaziev took him down twice and controlled him for 11:58, basically the runtime of a Netflix episode. Walter Walker took him down and submitted him in the 1st round like he had dinner reservations. Once Don'tale hits the mat, he's basically waiting for his Uber. He's big, he's heavy, and unless the other guy makes a mistake, he's not getting back up. Also, his cardio is a rumor. He's good for about 6 minutes, and after that, his gas tank hits Wile E. Coyote, realizing he ran off the cliff levels of regret. Thomas the Train Peterson comes in a minus 225 favorite with a record of 9-3. Thomas Peterson is a wrestler, and that's about it. No bells, no whistles, no secret striking genius hiding under the hood. If you handed him a controller in UFC 5, he's just pressing double leg takedown and praying. His striking is bad. I'm talking learned from watching other wrestlers who were also bad at striking bad. His punches are there to make you think about wrestling. Nothing more. His setups aren't slick, his feints are imaginary, and if you're not terrified of his shot, you can light him up on the feet. The even bigger concern? He hasn't proven he can get the fight to the mat at the UFC level. Against Jamal Pogues, he struggled. Badly. His wrestling looked like it came with a return policy. And when he does get you down, his control isn't amazing either. He's more slippery handshake than wet blanket. On the plus side, if he gets on top, he can grind. He knows how to wrestle enough to survive, just not necessarily enough to dominate. So, who wins? This fight is a race against gravity and self-destruction. If Peterson can land takedowns and hold position, he grinds out an ugly, sweaty decision that will make fans question why they paid for the early prelims. If Mays keeps it standing, he's probably kicking Peterson's ribs into a commercial break. And honestly, based on Peterson struggling badly to wrestle Jamal Pogues, which is like failing the world's slowest obstacle course, I'm leaning toward Don't Tail. All Mays has to do is defend takedowns, stay upright, and throw that big ol' kickboxer volume at a guy who looks panicked standing. Sounds easy enough, right? Narrator, it wasn't. But low confidence, extremely low. Maybe just parlay it with prayer low. Official pick Don't Tail Mays, give me Lord Kong to keep it standing, land the bigger shots, and either outpoint Peterson in the world's slowest kickboxing match, or find a TKO if Peterson starts shooting from halfway across the cage like a desperate Madden glitch. Mays by decision, or sloppy third-round TKO when both guys are throwing punches like they just learned about gravity. Alright, next up we got Gaston the Dream Killer Bolanos taking on Quang Bang Lei in what feels like a matchup straight out of a bad action movie script. High-level kickboxer versus scrappy underdog who refuses to go away. You've got one guy looking to keep it clean and sharp, and another trying to make it ugly and dramatic like a low-budget Rocky sequel. Let's break it down. Gaston, the Dream Killer Bolanos comes in a minus 180 favorite with a record of 8-4. Gaston Bolanos is the guy your coach warns you about when you think you can just walk forward and figure it out. He's a high-level kickboxer. He's got good footwork, sharp striking, and power that sneaks up on you like a horror movie jump scare. He's got 6 knockouts, and honestly, he looks really slick on the feet. Sharp punches, nasty kicks, clean combos. If MMA was fought in an empty field with no takedowns allowed, Gaston would probably already have a gold belt and his own flavor of energy drink. The problem? His takedown defense is like a suspiciously cheap umbrella. It works for a second, then folds under pressure. He got taken down 4 times in his last fight, and while he did get back up most of the time, he still spent about 6 minutes getting cuddled aggressively against his will. Same thing happened in his first UFC fight. So yeah, he can stand back up, but in the meantime, he's losing rounds faster than a drunk guy at a blackjack table. If Gaston keeps it standing, he looks like a killer. If he gets planted, he turns into a guy who's really good at working to his feet while judges are scribbling 10-9 against him. Quang Bang Lei comes in a plus 155 underdog with a record of 8-2. First of all, Bang Lee is a top-tier fight name. Sounds like he should either be knocking dudes out or dropping the hottest album of 2024. Quang Lei is a scrapper. He's got good pop on his punches, he throws decent volume, and when he's fresh, he looks like a real handful. He comes forward with purpose and throws enough to keep judges and opponents uncomfortable. He's still looking for his first UFC win after going 0-2 so far, but he hasn't been getting completely blown out. He's in there fighting, biting down on the mouthpiece, throwing leather. He can mix in the grappling, but he's not exactly a D1 wrestler out here. His takedowns happen more because of hustle and persistence rather than crisp technique. And his 3 submission wins came on the regional scene against guys who probably filled out their paperwork with crayons. His chin is decent, he's not easy to put away, but he does slow down after a fast start. He doesn't totally gas out, but you can definitely see the difference between round 1 Bang Lee and round 3 maybe take a nap Lee. So who wins? This feels like a battle between clean technique versus scrappy chaos. If Gaston Bolanos can keep it standing, manage his distance, and use his kicks and sharp hands, he should be able to outclass Lee on the feet. If Lee can turn this into a brawl, press him against the fence, land a few takedowns and make it ugly, things could get real interesting real fast. But based on what we've seen, Lei's takedowns aren't strong enough to consistently force Bolanos down. And on the feet, it's Gaston's world, and Lei is just borrowing it for 3 rounds. Official pick, Gaston Bolanos. Give me the dream killer to stay upright, slice up Lei with crisp striking, and either win a clean decision or catch Lei with something heavy when Bang Lei's foot gets stuck on the gas pedal too long. Bolanos by decision, or late TKO when Kwang realizes scrappiness is great until you're fighting a guy with sniper aim. Alright, next up we got Marina Rodriguez taking on Jillian the Savage Robertson in what can only be described as the classic striker versus grappler battle. Except it feels like someone gave the grappler cheat codes for relentless takedown spam. On one side, you have technical violence, on the other side, suffocating grappling pressure. One woman wants to paint a masterpiece, the other wants to roll around until you tap or cry. Let's break it down. Marina Rodriguez comes in a plus 200, everything would have been fine. Jillian, the Savage Robertson, comes in a minus 270 favorite with a record of 15-8. Jillian Robertson is a submission artist through and through. She's a black belt under Din Thomas, which means she didn't just buy her belt on Amazon, she earned it the hard way, choking people unconscious in places you don't even think you can be choked from. She's got 9 submission wins, and if she gets on top of you, it's like quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. Her striking is improving, kind of like how your little cousin says they're working on learning piano. Technically true, but nobody's buying tickets to the recital yet. Jillian doesn't want to stand and trade with Marina, and honestly, if she tries, Din Thomas might literally yell, "What are you doing?" from cage side. Her path is simple: get the takedown, get top control, start punching or start choking. And good news for her, she gets takedowns in basically every fight like it's a hobby. She's relentless, good at chaining attempts, and once she's on top, her ground and pound is heavy and mean. She's riding a 3-fight win streak, and she's finally figuring out how to blend her strikes just enough to hide the shots, which makes her even scarier. So who wins? If Jillian gets her hands on Marina, she's turning this into a grappling nightmare that ends with Marina wondering when they added quicksand to the UFC octagon. The takedown history says Jillian gets her way. The BJJ levels say Jillian dominates on the ground, pound her out or lock up a submission, after Marina makes a desperate mistake trying to scramble. Robertson by submission, or by TKO after ground and pounding Marina into the mat like she's trying to dig a basement. Alright, next up we got Ryan, Man of Steel Loader, taking on Azamat Iron Bikoev in a matchup that sounds like 2 superhero side characters fighting over who gets to join the Avengers. You got one guy who's just stepping into the big leagues after winning the Ultimate Fighter, and the other who looks like he's been auditioning for Mortal Kombat fatalities his whole career. Let's break it down. Ryan, Man of Steel Loader, comes in a plus 315 underdog with a record of 7-1. First off, let's give Ryan Loader his props. Winning the Ultimate Fighter is no joke. You've got to deal with the crazy house, the ridiculous challenges, and the fact that Dana White might give you the death stare after every sparring session. Survive that, and you at least deserve a handshake and a sponsorship from Monster Energy. Ryan is a strong wrestler. That's his world. He does a good job getting fights to the mat. He's got good top pressure. And when he's on top of you, he stays busy with ground and pound, instead of just lying there like he's waiting for a massage. He's the kind of wrestler who makes you feel like you're stuck under a refrigerator with anger issues. The problem? His striking isn't great. In fact, it's like the awkward first draft of a fighter trying to figure out what to do with his hands. His jab looks like he's trying to wave down a cab. And his defense is mostly, I hope I'm faster than their punches. That's fine when you're fighting other wrestlers or regional scene guys who think slipping a punch is just ducking your head and praying. But against someone like Bikoev, yeah, good luck, buddy. Azamat Iron Bikoev comes in a minus 380 favorite with a record of 19-3. Azamat Bikoev is what happens when a Wolverine gets professional coaching. He's a well-rounded savage with good striking, big-time power, heavy ground and pound, and the kind of takedown defense that makes wrestlers consider new hobbies. He's got 7 knockouts and 8 submissions, which means wherever you think you're safe, you're wrong. On the feet, he throws with bad intentions. Every punch looks like it's trying to end a trilogy, and on the ground, his ground and pound doesn't just score points, it sends opponents into staring at the ceiling, wondering where it all went wrong mode. He's fought better competition, has more experience, and probably thinks of stuffing takedowns as cardio warm-ups. If he stays disciplined and doesn't let Loader pull him into some early scramble nonsense, this should be a pretty straightforward night at the office. So, who wins? This fight is basically Ryan's takedown or bust versus Azamat's I will hurt you standing and probably on the ground too. If Loader can somehow chain takedowns together, wear Bekaev down, and grind out a greasy decision, cool. But that's about as likely as Dana White inviting Jake Paul over for Thanksgiving dinner. Azamat has the striking advantage, power advantage, grappling advantage, control advantage, experience advantage. Pretty much the only advantage Loader might have is hope, and maybe a slight edge in beard thickness. Official pick Azamat Bekaev. Give me Bekaev to stuff the takedowns, blast Loader on the feet, and either TKO him with a highlight reel punch or beat him up badly enough that Bruce Buffer's voice cracks when he reads the winner. Bekaev by TKO, or possibly a mercy tap out if Loader gets stuck under another savage ground and pound barrage. Alright, next up we got Yana Foxy Santos taking on Miesha Cupcake Tate in a matchup that feels like it was booked because someone said, "Hey, remember 2016? That was fun." We've got a clean technical striker versus a grappler who's been trying to recapture her old magic like a Disney princess realizing she left her wand in 2015. Let's break it down. Yana Foxy Santos comes in a plus 105 underdog with a record of 15-8. Yana Santos is one of those fighters who looks sharp even in her losses, which is a polite way of saying she's good, but she keeps ending up in awkward family photos. She's a black belt in Taekwondo, and you can see it. She's technical, she's fast, and she throws strikes that are meant to land clean, not just scare the judges into giving her rounds. She's fought really good competition too. She outstruck Carol Rosa. She outstruck Holly Holm. And yet somehow still lost those fights because Carol walked her down like a Terminator, and Holly clung to her like a koala on a windy day. The problem with Yana is her takedown defense isn't great. It's like a hotel security system. You feel safe until someone actually tries. But if she ends up on top in a scramble, she's got good ground and pound, and she's not afraid to dish out punishment. If this stays standing, she's going to look like the seasoned, polished veteran that she is. Miesha Cupcake Tate comes in a minus 125 favorite with a record of 20-9. Miesha Tate is still here, still grinding, and still smiling like she's about to tell you about her Etsy shop. But don't let the Cupcake nickname fool you. She's built like submission wrestling trouble. She's got 8 submissions on her record, and she approaches fights with submission wrestling first, striking second, third, and somewhere after remembering to breathe. Her striking, it's busy, she throws volume, but in terms of power, about the same threat level as a sternly worded email. Her chin is still solid, even after a couple of knockouts, so you're not likely to just clean her clock. You have to work to beat her, and she's not going to go away easy. The real concern, since her comeback, Miesha has looked physically outmatched. She went 0-7 on takedowns against Lauren Murphy, and Lauren fought like she had homework due that night. She went 1-6 against Ketlin Vieira, and it was about as pretty as a DMV visit. Even in her last fight, which she was gifted, it felt more like a please stay ranked bonus than an actual domination. If Miesha can't get takedowns, she doesn't have the striking to win rounds. She's scrappy, she's stubborn, but she's not going to piece you up standing. Not now. Maybe not ever. So who wins? This is another classic striker versus wrestler, but with the caveat that the wrestler's takedowns have been looking about as successful as a spam email campaign. If Yana keeps this standing, and based on recent evidence, she probably will, then she's just going to jab, kick, and combo Miesha's head like a speed bag for 3 rounds. Miesha would need multiple takedowns, multiple minutes of control time, and right now, betting on that is like betting your rent money on a coin toss. Official pick Yana Santos. Give me Foxy to keep it standing, out-volume Cupcake, and win a clean, low-drama decision where the only takedown is Miesha falling into a desperate clinch out of sheer frustration, Yana by decision, or by, why is Miesha shadowboxing at Ghosts again, unanimous scorecard. Alright, next up we got Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens taking on Mason the Dragon Jones in a fight that feels like a mid-2000s action movie villain taking on the hero's overconfident younger brother. On one side, a bare-knuckle brawler looking to bring the chaos, and on the other, a technical pressure fighter trying to make a name for himself. Again. Let's break it down. Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens comes in a plus 340 underdog with a record of 29-21. First of all, let's respect the fact that Jeremy Stevens has been fighting professionally since before some of the current roster knew how to spell armbar. He's an absolute legend of violence, a man whose life philosophy could be summed up as punch it until it stops moving. He's been bare-knuckle boxing lately, where he's gone 3-0, which means he's still violent, still fast, and still legally allowed to terrify crowds in 3 different time zones. He's got 18 knockouts to his name, and despite being in more wars than a medieval kingdom, he's only been knocked out 3 times. That's absurd durability. His chin isn't just solid, it's basically carbon fiber at this point. His strength's good power on the feet, decent takedown defense, unfiltered rage available at all times. His weaknesses. Age is catching up. He hasn't fought in MMA since 2022. Sometimes thinks blocking with your face is a viable strategy. If Jeremy can turn this into a brawl, he absolutely has a puncher's chance. But if this turns into a technical fight, well, things get spicy, but not in a good way. Mason the Dragon Jones comes in a minus 440 favorite with a record of 15-2. Mason Jones is back, and honestly, I'm happy to see it. He was one of those guys who fought tough competition right away, and although he went 1-2 in his first UFC run, he looked good even in his losses. Mason is a pressure fighter. He brings that high-volume, in-your-face energy that makes judges and fans love him, and opponents wonder why they ever left the regional scene. He's well-rounded too. Good striking, good volume. Good pressure mixes in takedowns when needed. Basically a kitchen sink fighter, except the kitchen sink is getting thrown at your face at 100 miles per hour. Since getting cut, he's been wrecking dudes in Cage Warriors, going on a 4-fight win streak like he's trying to reclaim his dignity with interest. He's still young, he's still improving, and stylistically, this is the kind of matchup that should let him shine. If he keeps a cool head and doesn't get lured into a brain-melting brawl, he's got all the tools to win clean. So, who wins? This is age versus youth, wildness versus control, vodka shots versus protein shakes. Jeremy Stephens is a living embodiment of the phrase, swing first, ask questions later. But Mason Jones is faster, sharper, fresher, and smarter at this point in their careers. If Jeremy somehow turns this into a bar fight, he could absolutely land a bomb and remind everyone why he has 18 KOs. But if Mason sticks to the plan, pressure, volume, and clean shots, this is his fight to lose. Official pick Mason Jones. Give me Mason to weather the early storm, jab Jeremy's face off, mix in a takedown or 2 to keep him guessing, and either win a clean decision or get a late finish when Lil Heathen starts running on pure fumes and nostalgia. Mason by decision, or a late TKO when Jeremy realizes fists don't heal like they used to. Alright, next up we got Cameron, the baby-faced killer Smotherman taking on Serhi Saidi in a matchup that feels like the UFC decided to book youth pastor energy versus Eastern European workhorse, and just see what happens. One guy's looking to land the perfect shot, the other guy's trying to throw 1,000 of them. Let's break it down. Cameron, the baby-faced killer Smotherman, comes in a plus 135 underdog with a record of 12-4. First off, you have to respect a guy whose nickname makes him sound like he should be handing out lemonade at a kid's soccer game, not knocking dudes out cold. Cameron Smotherman is deceptively dangerous. You see that fresh-faced grin, and the next thing you know, you're waking up asking why the arena lights are so bright. He's got good power, with 6 knockouts to his name, and when he finds his range, he can put people to sleep like a lullaby with malice. His takedown defense has looked good, which is important because he's definitely not the guy you want pulling guard, unless you like living dangerously. The good knockout power, solid takedown defense, composed under pressure. The not so good, sometimes low volume, tends to wait a little too much. Fights like he's saving his punches for a better opponent sometimes. He lost his shot on the Contender Series, but he bounced back with 3 regional wins and then stepped in short notice against Jake Hadley and somehow still survived without looking like he got hit by a car. He's riding a 4-fight win streak, but this is a step up where you have to be a lot more active. And if he tries to pick his shots against a volume guy, it's going to look like a scene from 300, but with more judges and less chest oil. Serhi Saidi comes in a minus 155 favorite with a record of 11-2. Serhi Saidi is the kind of fighter who makes you tired just watching him. The guy's got that relentless volume, solid pressure, and good cardio that makes opponents wonder why the round isn't over yet, even though it's only been 30 seconds. He's rangy for the division, uses straight punches like he's building IKEA furniture, quick, efficient, a little frustrating, and he mixes in kicks to keep you guessing whether it's about to be your ribs or your thighs crying for help. He did get taken down a lot against Garrett Armfield, but he stayed safe, worked his way back up, and won the fight. So yeah, he's not untouchable, but he's stubborn as hell, and that's dangerous against someone waiting for a clean shot. His strengths: good output, good pressure composed when things get rough. His weaknesses: takedown defense can be a little leaky. Doesn't have insane one-punch KO power, he's death by 1,000 paper cuts. The bottom line is, if you can't slow him down early, he's going to keep moving forward until your soul starts questioning your life choices. So, who wins? This fight is power versus pressure, patience versus persistence. Cameron wants to find the big shot and make it count. Saidi wants to throw 300 strikes, land 200, and break you mentally before he breaks you physically. If Cameron had more reliable volume or could guarantee the chin check shot, maybe we're talking upset city. But Saidi's pressure, his ability to survive takedowns, and his willingness to just drown you in output, yeah, that's the recipe for banking rounds while Cameron waits for the perfect punch that might never come. Official pick, Serhii Saidi. Give me Saidi to outwork Cameron, rack up the significant strikes, keep him on the back foot, and sway the judges round after round until they're filling out their 29, 28 scorecards without even looking up. Saidi by decision, or what I like to call a slowly convincing your opponent they should have stayed home performance. All right, next up we got Montel Quick Jackson taking on Daniel Sankora Marcos in a matchup that feels like speed and power versus precision and undefeated energy. One guy looks like he could punch a hole through a wall, the other looks like he could dodge it, counter, and sue the wall for damages. Let's break it down. Montel Quick Jackson comes in a -200 favorite with a record of 14-2. First off, Montel's nickname Quick isn't just some marketing gimmick. This dude's hands are legitimately fast enough to make the Flash consider a drug test. He's a former wrestler too, not just the high school I-1 County wrestler either. He represented Team USA against Japan in an invitational. So, yeah, he knows how to put you on your butt if he wants to. Problem is, he fell in love with these lightning fists and decided, why wrestle when I can just punch them into a reboot? He's got 8 knockouts, good hand speed, decent wrestling, and solid takedown defense. Unless you're Rick Simon or Brett Johns, apparently, who both landed multiple takedowns and banked rounds the old-fashioned way. If Montel gets rolling early, you're eating punches before you realize the fight started. But if you can slow him down, stay out of the way of the big shots, and force him into a chess match, he sometimes gets stuck waiting for the perfect counter that never comes. Daniel Sankora Marcos comes in a +170 underdog with a record of 17-0. Daniel Marcos is the real deal. He's 17-0, but more importantly, he doesn't fight like a guy protecting an undefeated record. He fights like a guy who just genuinely believes you have no business standing in front of him. He's a sharp striker. Technical, clean, patient. He's like if you gave a sniper a pair of Muay Thai shorts and a 5-minute warm-up. What he does well? Throws good volume, lands clean, crisp strikes, good leg kicks to chop the base, excellent cardio, doesn't fade even when the pace gets ugly, and he's fought good competition too. He beat Simon Oliveira, Davey Grant, John Castaneda, and Adrian Yanez. These aren't guys handing out free wins at the checkout line. These are seasoned dudes, and Marcos handled them all. His takedown defense has looked solid too. He's not just flailing when the wrestling starts. He knows how to stuff shots, scramble, and get right back to chopping you up with his striking. He might not have one-punch KO power like Montel, but he's death by precision. Paper cut your soul until the judges have no choice but to raise his hand. So, who wins? This is explosiveness versus discipline. Montel wants to catch you clean early and often. Marcos wants to stay safe, touch you up, kick your legs into spaghetti, and win the long game. If Montel connects clean early, he could absolutely hurt Marcos. But if this goes past the first round without Jackson landing a bomb, it becomes Daniel's fight, and Daniel loves dragging guys into volume battles they aren't ready for. Given Marcos' ability to stay composed, manage distance, and land without eating big shots, this feels like an upset brewing, and let's be honest, an undefeated fighter who's been fighting savages already? That's not the kind of guy you bet against lightly. Official pick, Daniel Marcos. Give me Sankora to stay safe early, land the sharper shots, chop the legs, and outwork Montel down the stretch for a 29-28 kind of decision that makes everyone remember why you don't blindly bet against an undefeated technician. Marcos by decision, or by death via 10,000 paper cuts and enough leg kicks to make Montel rethink every stance switch he ever learned. All right, next up we got Santiago Argentine Dagger Ponzinibbio taking on Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez in a matchup that feels like two guys deciding they're too old for wrestling and too stubborn to stop throwing hands. No fancy spinning kicks, no heel hooks, just straight up let's see whose chin gives out first violence. Let's break it down. Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez comes in a -125 favorite with a record of 18-5. D-Rod is the type of fighter who looks like he should be managing a tattoo shop, but instead he's out here casually throwing hands like he's double parked. His style is hands first, feet optional. He's not throwing crazy kicks or spinning back fists. No, sir. D-Rod shows up with the factory settings: jab, cross, occasional check hook, and confused look if you try a takedown. He's got 8 knockouts. But here's the thing, he hasn't knocked anyone out since 2021, which in fight years is about 3 haircuts and a mortgage payment ago. The good, decent volume, solid boxing, tough as nails, calm under fire. The bad, he doesn't always pull the trigger when he needs to. His takedown defense is about as trustworthy as an email from a foreign prince, sometimes just kinda exists in rounds instead of winning them. He's coming off a win against Alex Morono, but before that, he had some questionable performances where it looked like he was trying to win fights through the power of staring contests. If D-Rod shows up aggressive, he's a handful. If he shows up passive, he's basically holding the door open for you to take rounds from him. Santiago Argentine Dagger Ponzinibbio comes in a plus 105 underdog with a record of 30-8. First of all, 30 wins is nothing to sneeze at. This man's been around long enough to have seen MMA go from cage fighting to mixed martial arts professional. He's a BJJ black belt, but you wouldn't know it because he treats grappling like it's lava. Santiago would rather throw 100 punches and risk it all than try for a takedown unless absolutely necessary. And the thing is, his hands are nasty. He's got 17 knockouts, including that straight right hand that hits harder than childhood trauma. If that thing lands clean, night-night, bring a pillow and a blanket. The good power. Great takedown defense, high pace, absolute zombie energy. Seriously, the man does not go away. The bad, sometimes gets wild and reckless, has been finished, but only 4 times across 38 fights, which is insane toughness. He's coming off a 3rd-round finish of Carlston Harris where he pushed a relentless pace, ate a few shots, and just kept walking Harris down like a horror movie villain. Even when Ponzi looks like he's about to collapse, he's actually just powering up like some kind of Argentine Super Saiyan. So, who wins? This one's going to stay standing unless something truly weird happens. It's going to be a boxing match, a war of attrition, and possibly a who blinks first contest. If D-Rod shows up active, he could jab and cross his way to a decision. If D-Rod shows up passive, Santiago is going to pressure, throw in combination, and steal rounds just by being the angrier man. Santiago's pace, pressure, and refusal to go away quietly feel like the difference here. Add in that beautiful straight right hand, and there's a good chance Ponzi sends D-Rod into another staring contest, with the lights on the ceiling. Official pick Santiago Ponzinibbio. Give me the Argentine Dagger to march forward, throw more volume, land the bigger shots, and either win a close but clear decision or catch D-Rod slipping late and send him into power save mode. Ponzinibbio by decision, or by one too many right hands and a very confused referee. Alright, next up is the co-main event, and we got Reinier RDR de Ridder taking on Bo Nickel in a fight that feels like it was booked after someone said, hey, what if we matched up a grappling wizard with a human battering ram and just saw what happened? It's a battle of mats, muscles, and mildly concerning overconfidence. Let's break it down. Reinier RDR de Ridder comes in a plus 250 underdog with a record of 19-2. First of all, props to RDR, former 2-division champion in 1 championship, which means he's been choking out highly confused opponents across 2 weight classes for a while now. This dude is grappling royalty. Black belt in judo, black belt in BJJ, 14 submission wins, 2 UFC fights, 2 finishes. You touch gloves with this man and you're basically signing a waiver that says, yeah, I'm cool with napping in public. The problem? His striking is about as intimidating as an inspirational poster. He's slow, he doesn't have much power, and he moves like a guy trying to carry 3 bags of groceries across an icy driveway. When he strikes, it's usually just him waiting to grab onto you like a needy ex. If he gets a grip, you're in deep, deep trouble. If he doesn't, you might get to run a free kickboxing clinic. But you can't laugh too hard. If you mess around, RDR will turn your torso into a pretzel and pose for a victory photo before you realize you tapped out. Bo Nickel comes in a minus 300 favorite with a record of 7-0. Ah yes, Bo Nickel, the UFC's golden boy. The All-American wrestler, the blue belt in BJJ, the I swear my striking is getting better experiment currently unfolding in real time. We all know the drill. Bo's wrestling is terrifying. Double legs, single legs, low singles, flying teleportation takedowns. He's got all the upgrades, and it's a big but. In his last fight, Bo decided he was a striker. Not just any striker, he bragged about standing with Paul Craig for 3 rounds. Paul Craig, the man who throws punches like he's trying to shoo away a bee. And Bo was proud of it. That's like bragging about surviving a pie-eating contest when your opponent forgot to show up. The good elite wrestling decent hands, if he remembers he has them. Good cardio, monstrous top pressure. The concern, way too confident. Bragging about standing with Paul Craig is the MMA equivalent of posting your Wordle score unironically. If Bo stays disciplined, he should win this easily. If Bo thinks he's Israel Adesanya now, well, things might get spicy in a hurry. So, who wins? This is world-class submission grappler versus world-class wrestler with some "I promise I'm a striker too" delusions. If Bo keeps it standing, he lights RDR up like a Christmas tree. If Bo uses his wrestling defensively and avoids the clinch, it's an easy night at the office. If Bo decides he's going to start doing capoeira mid-fight, well, we'll all learn a valuable lesson about humility. That said, Bo's striking is still way better than RDR's. His cardio is better, his wrestling is better, and as long as he doesn't channel his inner Art Jimerson and forget the basics, he should cruise here. Official pick Bo Nickel. Give me Bo to stuff the clinch attempts, land the faster, sharper strikes, maybe even flex the wrestling just to show he can, and either cruise to a decision or pound out a late finish after RDR realizes hugs don't win fights in the UFC. Bo by decision or by a TKO after reminding RDR that you can't judo throw someone who keeps punching you in the forehead. Alright, it's main event time, and we got Cory Sandhagen taking on Deiveson Figueiredo in what feels like a bantamweight science experiment. What happens when you mix long, lanky technical violence with a former flyweight bulldozer who refuses to stop charging forward? Someone's getting styled on, someone's getting frustrated, and honestly, we're all winners for watching it. Let's break it down. This one's got some real intrigue to it. Cory Sandhagen comes in a -450 favorite with a record of 17-5. Cory Sandhagen fights like your little cousin in a bounce house. But if your cousin had world-class footwork, insane cardio, and a black belt in kicking people's legs until they question their life decisions, he's a brown belt in BJJ, but good luck seeing him even use it unless absolutely necessary. He's a striking first fighter all day. He's long, lanky, sharp, fights like a human yardstick with bad intentions. Cory's all about that range management. He's got a jab, kicks, and movement that makes you feel like you're fighting in quicksand while he's on roller skates. He throws good volume. He has excellent kicks. He is very hard to take down cleanly. He fights like he left the oven on at home and has somewhere to be. The bad is he's not crazy powerful. He's more death by 1,000 punches than turn the lights off with one shot. He has 7 knockouts, but it's more from overwhelming you with volume than pure one-punch goodnight Irene power. Also, when Cory fights the right fight, he looks like a future title holder. When he doesn't, you want to throw your remote through your TV wondering why he's spinning instead of jabbing. Deiveson Figueiredo comes in a +320 underdog with a record of 24-4. Deiveson Figueiredo is an absolute savage. This man used to fight like a horror movie villain at flyweight. Big power, scary subs, and zero fear of violence. Now that he's moved up, his power's still there, just not quite the Thanos snap it used to be. His speed is still decent, but now he's facing dudes who actually eat sandwiches and lift weights. He's got good power even at bantamweight. He's a BJJ black belt. He's still aggressive and still willing to throw down. The bad is, he has a size disadvantage against bigger bantamweights. He's had a harder time getting fights to the mat since moving up. His cardio sometimes goes, nope, around late second round if he pushes too hard early. Deiveson is gritty though. He's got that refuse to lose attitude even when he probably should. The problem is when the physical gifts start leveling out, you need more tricks. And in this matchup, he's fighting a dude with about 4 extra inches of reach and a cardio advantage. So, who wins? This is movement versus aggression. If Cory keeps it at range, peppering Deiveson's face with jabs, crosses, and kicks until the end of time, it's an easy win. If Deiveson blitzes him, lands something huge, and gets him flustered against the cage, things could get real stupid, real fast. But based on what we've seen lately, Cory is too smart, too long, and too good at staying safe to just walk into Deiveson's fire. Add in the size advantage, the reach, the volume, the cardio, and you've got a Sandhagen dance recital incoming. Official pick, Cory Sandhagen. Give me Cory to jab Deiveson's eyebrows off, circle out whenever things get hairy, land a ton of leg kicks, and either cruise to a clean 49-46 decision or frustrate Deiveson so badly that halfway through round 3, he tries to start a grappling match with a referee instead. Cory by decision, or by Deiveson looking like he's chasing a ghost all night. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat when the next video drops. And don't be shy. leave a comment below and let me know who you got winning this fight. Let's see who really has the crystal ball around here. Until next time.